We're going to start with the Mishnah. Mishnah Chav Gimel Amud Bais. Kosher b'para pasel be'egla. Kosher be'egla pasel b'para. The Mishnayos have been doing that lately. We've been comparing and contrast between two halachas that have something that apparently should be similar, but it actually has something that it's not. So the similarity, the reason why we're taking these two cases of para aduma and egla arufa, and we're contrasting them, is because these are karbanos that are sacrificed. Not karbanos. These are the animals that are sacrificed outside the temple. So we would think maybe there could be a similarity, because we didn't contrast it to all the karbanos. We're just using these two, a para aduma and egla arufa. The para aduma is the red heifer that's used to purify someone that came in contact with a dead person. And the egla arufa is if someone was murdered outside and is found outside a city, and
does it have to be murdered? It has to be proof that there was murder?
No. He's dead outside the city, and they say that the people of the city say that we are not guilty. So the Bais is going to explain the details, but what's valid for a para aduma, which is going to be referring to shchita, is invalid for an egla arufa. You can't do shchita on egla arufa. Kosher be'egla, the way you can you perform the service of the egla arufa, which is to break the neck with like a hatchet from the back of the neck, so that's possible b'para, that you can't do for a para aduma. Okay, Tana Rabbanan. The Rabbi's taught in a brisa. We've been seeing after every Mishnah we have a brisa that says that elaborates. I'm sorry?
That's not
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was interesting. Para b'shchita kshera. Para aduma is valid with shchita, but barifa is psula, but you can't break the neck from the back. That's possible for a para aduma. Egla, that's the calf. That's barifa, that you break the neck from the back. But barifa kshera, but b'shchita psula. But that's not valid. You can't do shchita on it. Nimtzas, it's exactly the same expressions. It comes out that kosher b'para pasel be'egla. What's valid for the para, it's just quoting our Mishnah now. What's valid for the para is invalid for the egla, and kosher be'egla pasel b'para. What's valid for the egla is pasel by the para. Now the Gemara asks, the Brisa asks, v'tehei para ksheira ba'arifa mikal v'chaymer. Let the para be valid with breaking the neck, and we'll make a kal v'chaymer. Uma egla shlei hachshur b'shchita. Whereas, just as for the calf, which you can't do shchita on it, but hachshur barifa, but it's valid to do breaking the neck. So para shehachshur b'shchita, the para that's valid to do shchita. Say in a din shehachshur barifa, is it not
the worst color game ever?
Is it not? Is it not? The Taisus asks you a question. Av Nasan and Taisus. They say Baruch Shekivanta. Is it not Kal V'chaymer that it should be valid for Arifa? In other words, the Egla Arufa is limited. You can't do shchita on it. But nevertheless, you can break the neck from the back. So the para aduma, that it's not as limited. You can do shchita on it. So for sure you should be able to have what the other one that was limited has. For sure you should be able to do arifa, to break the neck from the back. The Gemara says Amakra v'shachat v'chuka. It says in the pasuk v'shachat, and it also says the word chuka. Zayis chuka satira. That's in Parshas Chukas. That's how it starts. Chuka means it's a statute, a law. B'shchita in ba'arifa lai. You can only do shchita, you can't do arifa. Now, Taisus asks, And he bases it on another Gemara where the Gemara says, look, you can do this Kal V'chomer this way and you can do it that way. You can go both ways. So this is your question. So
no, it's not just that. The guy who's left-handed can write with his left hand. So a guy who can't write with his right hand can write with his left hand. For surely a guy who can write with his right hand can also write with his left hand.
right,
It's not one of the two have nothing to do with each other.
right. They said if you can't take money from my pocket,
Right.
but I can take money from my pocket. So for sure, if I can take money from it, for sure I should be able to take money from your pocket.
Two have no connection.
So Taisus gives a few points. One of the points is that it's not really a Kal V'chomer here. It's really a Mamatzin. You see, those other Gemaras that Taisus is discussing, what it's trying to do is it's trying to make a Kal V'chomer that you can do them both ways, and each one would negate the other one. So we say instead of negating each other, just leave it as is and say that it's the. What are you going to get from it when you can do the Kal V'chomer both ways? Taisus says over here we're not doing that. We're not negating each other. We're doing a Mamatzino. We're calling it a Kal V'chomer, but it's really a Mamatzino. We're going to add another halacha to each one. So that's not negating, that we can do. The other point that Taisus says is that if you notice, we started a certain way. We started with, let's add Arifa, breaking the neck, to the Paraduma. Let's add that in. We didn't start the other way, and it's interesting because this concludes with a pasuk, why we can't do it. And when we go back, when we do it the opposite way at the end of this Gemara, right before the Mishnah, so then it's only after we have this pasuk that we see that the Paraduma cannot be done with Arifa. You can't break its neck on the back. So let's go the other way. Now let's say that the Egla Rufa you should be able to do Shchita. So in other places is saying that there is a logic to the order of the way it's working, and it's not just, well, I can just do both Kal V'chomers at the same time. Now what is that logic? He doesn't explain. But he says that for some reason this would have been more logical than the other way, so we start like this and then okay. We're on top of 24. So what's the reason why we can't say that a Paraduma, we're contrasting a Paraduma to an Egla Rufa? That the Paraduma you do Shchita, and the Egla Rufa you break the neck from the back. And we said that you can't do Shchita on the Egla Rufa, and you can't do breaking the neck from the back on the Paraduma, on the red heifer. So we thought, well, maybe we can make a Kal V'chomer that you should be able to do Arifa, breaking the neck from the back on the Paraduma. We said that it says in the pasuk, the Chukah. It says Chukah. It says Chukah Satira. That tells me that it's a statute and you can't change. The Gemara now asks, we're not saying if it's ma'akiv or this or that. We're saying that you can't learn any other halacha into this because it says the word chukah. That we never said. It says v'hagabi yom kippurim. I'll even bring you a source that you can. By Yom Kippur, diksiv bechukah. It says the word chukah by Yom Kippur. V'tanya, and it was taught in the Brisa. V'aso chatas. There were two goats that were brought on Yom Kippur. One was pushed off the cliff, Azazel, and one was Lashem. And the way that it was chosen, which one is which, was they did a lottery. And Vasar Asher Allah Hagairal Lashem Vaso Chatas. The goat that the lottery came out for, that it says that it's for God, so that one was the Chatas. What made it the Chatas? Hagairal Aso Chatas. The lottery made it into the Chatas. Ve'ein Hashem Isa Chatas. And it wasn't the verbal calling it Chatas that makes it into a Chatas. Okay. Sheyachal, because I could have thought differently. It's even logical. Let's say someone has to bring two birds. A woman that gives birth, she brings a chatas in a oila. She has to bring two birds. So she decides when she buys it, this one is a chatas and this one is an Eily. Or when she gives it to the Kayan says, this one is when he does the avodah. You have those two sides to do it, either by the purchasing or by the avodah. But he doesn't have to do any ceremony to turn it into a chatas and an Eily. It's just the verbal pronouncement of what it is. So by places where you don't have the goyrel, but you have Kiddush Hashem, so makim shekiddush goyrel, places where the goyrel makes it into a chatas or an Eily, it determines which one is which. In Idin shekiddush Hashem, is it not a kal v'chomer that you should be able to pronounce it, which one is the chatas and which one is la azazel, just by the verbal calling it what it is. So Talmud Leimer vaso chatas. I need a special pasuk to tell me that the girl makes it into a chatas. A girl is a chatas. Ve'ina Hashem makes a chatas, but calling it a chatas doesn't do it. In other words, one of these goats is going to get pushed off the cliff, and one of them is going to be brought as a sacrifice. Which one is which? So we do a lottery. Now, what the Gemara is saying is that how do I know that that's the only way to do it? Because I have an extra pasuk that says vaso chatas. If I didn't have that pasuk, then I would have thought that yes, I can use a lottery to determine which one, but I can also decide on my own and I can make a pronouncement which one. And I would learn that from a kal v'chomer, because I find by other birds I can just pronounce which one is which, and it works. Over here for sure it should work. By those other places I can't do a lottery, and nevertheless I can do just a pronouncement of which one. Here where I can do a lottery, for sure the pronouncement, that's the status quo, that's the baseline of what's work. For sure it should work here. So, but I have a pasuk that tells me no. Taima, the kasav rachmana vaso chatas. What's the reason why I need to do the lottery? Because I have the pasuk. Halav hachi. If not for that, dashin and kal v'chomer, I would have used the kal v'chomer. So I would have used the kal v'chomer, even though I have in the section of Yom Kippur, it says the word chukah. That means that chukah doesn't tell me that I can't learn any other halachas. So therefore, back to the para aduma. We said that you can't say that you can do arifa by the para aduma because it says v'shachat and chukah. What does the chukah tell me? Chukah tells me that I can't make a kal v'chomer. I see by Yom Kippur I would have made a kal v'chomer even though it says the word chukah, that it's a statute. The word chukah usually tells me that it's ma'akiv, or that it's for all generations, or whatever it is, but it doesn't tell me that I can't learn any other law into it. So the Gemara explains, actually, the Bais said v'shachat v'chukah, that tells me what the halacha is. However, miyat rachmana gabi egla, we really have a different source. And the Torah says, the Eibishter says, Rachmana, the merciful one, says, egla ha'arufa, the egla, the calf, that is, the neck is broken. Zeis ba'arifa, this one is broken. Ve'in acheres ba'arifa, it has that definite.
The shul.
Okay, that's a good example. This one gets the neck is broken and tells me that nothing else. It's like excluding other things. Okay, so that's the source that the para aduma doesn't have arifa. Now, once we have that, so now we can learn it the other way. Now let's be able to do shchita by the egla arufa, and we'll make a kal v'chomer. Uma para, just as a para shleiach shuru ba'arifa, that you can't do the arifa on it, and nevertheless ksheir b'shchita, but it's kosher for shchita. You see, it set it up. So egla, this calf sheksheir ba'arifa, that you can do the breaking of the neck, and it didn't shechsher b'shchita, and not a kal v'chomer. You should be able to do shchita. We were so strict by the para aduma that you can't do, can't break the neck. So over here, where you can break the neck, for sure you should be able to do shchita. So Amakra va'arfu ha'egla, and it says twice that they will break the neck of the calf. Ba'arifa in b'shchita loy. It says it twice. It's coming to emphasize that this is the way that you have to do it, and you can't do shchita. So again, we have a pasuk that tells me that I can't do that kal v'chomer. Taisvus has an interesting question. We mentioned here that we should be able to make a kal v'chaimer, even though it says the word chukah, because we find by Yom Kippur that we try to make a kal v'chaimer, that you should be able to designate which goat goes to Azazel and which one goes to Hashem as a chatas by just pronouncement. Why? Because when a woman has to bring birds, all she has to do is pronounce it, and she doesn't make a lottery. So by the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, when he's doing that lottery, so for sure you should be able to just make a pronouncement. Taisa says, what about the other way? Why doesn't the Gemara ask back, can we make a lottery by those two birds? And who says that we can't? Because usually the Gemara does this both backwards and forwards. And over there, it only tells us about one kal v'chaimer, that we should be able to make a pronouncement by the goats. It doesn't go back and say that we should be able to make a lottery by the birds that a woman has to bring. So Taisva says, V'yesh leimer de'ika shumiyat. It doesn't give us the actual answer. He says that maybe that there is some source in the pasuk that tells us this.
Maybe a lottery does work.
Maybe a lottery does work. The Rajba says that really, even though you can make a pronouncement by the birds, which one is the Eily, which one is the Chatas, but you only have two times. I spoke this out. You only have two times to do it. Either at the purchase, and the Gemara learns that from Sukkim, that it's only at the purchase of the birds that you can say this one is the Eily, or when the Kohen does the Aveda. But all in the interim, you can't pronounce what it's going to be. It's only at those moments. So the Rajba has these psukim that tell me how it has to be done. Maybe that's the ikashumiyot of Tosfos, that those psukim tell me that the way that it needs to be determined by how it has to be is either at a pronouncement by the purchase or when the kohen does the aveda.
When he does the lotteries, the Kohen Gadol also has to pronounce it. He doesn't just put the lottery on the goat.
Yeah, but the lottery is what does it.
What do you mean the lottery does it?
When he lifts it up in his right hand,
And then he says, "Oh, this is LaShem." And he pronounces it. It's not just the lottery.
I'm not sure if it's the pronouncement that maybe the pronouncement is just for people to know. I don't know if the pronouncement actually makes it. I don't know, and I don't remember the.
Here it says the halakha.
Go ahead.
It says the halakha is that the lottery of the two goats on Yom Kippur is the essential part of the service, as it is the lots that render the animals sin offerings. Rambam. So it's the lottery that does, but not the verbal designation.
Right. Okay.
The Rambam gets it in the Gemara.
Don't mean to be heretical, but how much of a lottery is it when you have two choices? It's like flipping a coin. You know, if it's a 14 million to 1 and you win the lottery ticket, that's a lottery. But 1 out of 2,
It's also a lottery.
Good choice.
it is a lottery.
Ask an attorney.
Yeah,
You never have more than
right. It's a good
50%.
chance. So, in all honesty, it doesn't
Is that
sound
true?
like
Is
the
that the-
itself itself has
In
so
any case,
much
you never have
of the
better
power
chances
to
more
it.
than 50%.
It's
You know,
Hashem
there's
is
only two
picking
parties.
the one.
I heard that from like the
Did a
first day
lottery
I ever
on
started
Shiva.
as an attorney.
That was a major
It
event.
was one of the like
You
shockers.
chose Lady A or Lady B.
If you get
But
married based on
the
lottery,
Mishnah says,
You don't have 1%.
Kosher b'kayanim,
Like,
Pasal b'leviyim.
changing.
What's valid for kayanim, you hear Avram Nassan? Pasal b'leviyim is not valid for Levi. It does not create the Levi to be invalid.
I don't want to look ahead, but that logic, that Kal V'Chomer we just used, definitely wouldn't apply.
Okay, Kosher b'leviyim. What's valid for the Leviyim, Pasal b'kayanim, could be invalid by the Kayanim. And again, we're going to have a brisa that will elaborate on what this is talking about.
Okay, enough. I wasted enough.
Oh, that's why.
Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught in a brisa. Kayanim, b'mumin psulin. A kayan that has a blemish is pasul, but b'shanim ksherim. But he's not pasul if he's old or too young. Only has the concept of a blemish. Leviim, on the other hand, b'mumin ksherim, they don't have a problem with the blemish. B'shanim psulim. But they do have a problem with age. Certain ages, they're invalid. Nimtza, what comes out, kosher b'kayanim, what's valid for the kayanim, which means that age, is possible b'leviim. That could be possible by the leviim. But kosher b'leviim, which means even though he has a mum, but possible b'kayanim, but that would be possible for the kayanim. Okay. Someone just asked me we're doing a get for someone, and he said, I have a question, Rabbi. He said, I know if a Kohen is married to a non-Jew, they don't let him duchen. But what about a Levi that's married to a non-Jew? Can he wash the Kohen's hands? I never heard the question before. It was the first time I heard it. So, Av Bezdin was there. He said, go ahead, you're a Levi, answer. So I said, I never saw the answer, but I can take a guess that it's not a problem. He says, that's what I would have said also. So, okay.
No, the answer is because the Kohen is specifically not allowed to marry. A Levi is not specifically not allowed to marry. And so that's why he loses his kahuna. But the Levi doesn't lose his Levi status.
Okay, whatever, this ways of looking at it. There's ways of looking at it. But there's a contrast here between Kayanim and Leviim. Age versus a mum. Minani Mili, how do we know this? The Tana Rabbana was taught in a brisa. Zois asher la Leviim. The brisa quotes a pasuk. This is the law of the Leviim. Is there a chumash around? Was that older chumash somewhere? This is in at the end of. Is that a Bamidbar?
Bamidbar 8.
Oh yeah.
To the right.
If there's one with Rashi, even better, but it
The
doesn't
red
matter.
one.
This one here?
Isn't that it?
The one on the top.
Oh, that's
It was an old chumash.
The one all the way on the upper left-hand corner. Upper left-hand corner. Bamidbar.
Oh, the blue one.
Bamidbar.
Yeah, bring me that.
Bamidbar.
And a Vayikra. Perfect.
He's testing my Latin here.
Okay. So in Parshas Baloischa, in chapter 8, towards the end, it's 24. Okay, it says.
I'm going to like to marry yours.
It's a story with the Kohen. He tells the rabbi, he's like driving by in his wagon. He says, "Rabbi, can I take a divorced woman?" The rabbi says, "Yeah, it's no problem." And all the students are like, "What are you talking about? A Kohen can't marry a divorced woman." The rabbi said, "He didn't understand this question. He's a taxi." Was that? Okay.
Actually, it's only if he's Portuguese.
That's what I want to bring up. He's bringing himself. Good.
Okay, so here the pasuk says that this is which pertains to the Levites. Zayis shel Leviim, from 25 years and up, ben chamish v'asrim shana v'mayla. Yavel litzvay tzava ba'avodas hayom. They shall go into the to perform the service in the work of the tent of meeting. Ben chamishim shana, from 50 years old, yashuv, they shall return mitzvah avodah v'lo ya'avodah, and you shall not serve anymore. V'sheres esechav, but shall serve with their brothers. The word es means with, even though many times it doesn't mean anything, but sometimes it means with. Ba'il mayid, so even after he's older, he's going to serve in the tent of meeting. Lishmar mishmers, to keep the charge. So there's something that's going on, even though he's too old, even though he's over 50. So it's from 25 to 50. Matam leimar. What is this pasuk teaching? Lafish Emar, because we have a pasuk that says mi ben chamishim shana yashuv, that from 50 years old he has to return. Lamadnu, this teaches us the Leviim shashanim paislam ben, that the years if he's the age makes him puzzle. Yachal mum psulim. Maybe the mum will also make him puzzle. If he has a blemish, vidinu, and it's logical as well. Ma kayanim, just as kayanim sheina shanim paislam mem, where the age doesn't make them puzzle. Mum and paislam mem, but they become puzzle if they have a blemish. A mum leviim shashanim paislam mem, a leviim that they do become puzzle with age. In adin she mum paislam mem, for sure a mum. That's an actual mum, not just the age. That's actual mum. For sure they should be puzzle. Talmud leimer zeisa shel leviim. This is the law of Leviim. Zeis leviim v'enacheres leviim. That introduction was not necessary. Zeis shel leviim. So that introduction is telling me that this is the law of the Leviim, but the laws of the Kayanim don't apply to the Leviim. Yachal yiu Kayanim paislim b'shanim. Maybe the Kayanim should be puzzled with age, because if a mum makes them puzzle, balaydinu, it's even logical. Ma Leviim shein mum paislim, by Leviim that they don't have a puzzle if there's a mum. But nevertheless, shanim paislim b'em, if the age is not correct, so they're invalid. Kainim shamumim paislim b'em, in a din shiur shanim paislim, the kainim that a mum makes them invalid, a blemish. For sure, the age should make them invalid. Talmud leima asher la leviyim. This is the law for the leviyim, v'lo asher la kayanim, and not for the kayanim. Okay. Now it says yachal maybe af b'shila b'beis elamim kain. Maybe this law should also apply in the Beis Hamikdash. You follow? This age is only in the Mishnah, in the tabernacle, in the desert. Maybe it should also apply in the temple. Talmud Laimar, the pasuk says. Now here, we need to turn back to Parshas Nasa, when by the counting of the Leviim. Is it verse 47? Yeah. It says, from 30 years old and upward, until 50 years, everyone that entered into the work service, avaydas avayda, va'avaydas masa ba'il mayid, in the work of the bearing burdens in the tent of meeting. So it says, Talmud Laimar, la'avayd avaydas avayda va'avaydas masa, to do the work of the work, and to do the physical work of carrying. La yamarti el bizman shavayda b'kasav. I only said this at the time when the work is carrying on the shoulders. That means that this age limit is only when by the Mishkan, when they would carry it on the shoulders. Okay.
But in the Beis Hamikdash just to sing and used to take care of the gates. That they could do.
That they can do. Okay. Now, Rashi says. Rashi and Ches. The question is, what happens when he reaches the age of 50? The Levium. So Rashi over here says that he shouldn't serve anymore. Rashi says this refers to the service of carrying on the shoulders. But he can go back after that, and he can close the gates, he can still sing, and he could load the wagons. So who is this referring to? Only kahas that carries on the shoulders. They're the only ones that have the age limit. That's how Rashi learns on Chumash. The singing they can still do, as we'll see. Okay. Now the Gemara goes through.
Closing the gates, only kahas?
No.
Okay, only the loading of the
limit.
Okay.
The limitation of the age 50 is only for that carrying on the shoulders.
Not loading the wagon. You can still load wagon.
Right. The Ramban argues on Rashi. The Ramban says that it says in the pasuk, it says la'avayd avaydas avayda v'avaydas masa. It's not just avaydas. It says avaydas avayda, which is referring to singing. Okay. So now the Gemara asks a contradiction. Kasav echad in Parshas Bais it says miben chamesh vesrim shana v'mayla. It says from 25 years and old he serves. 25. Kasav echad miben shleishim. From one verse says from 30 years old he serves. Ef shalayim shleishim. It can't be 30. Shekvar Nemer Chafei, because he says he's serving already from 25. V'ef Shalemer Chafei, it can't be from 25. Shekvar Nemer Shleishim, because it says 30. Okay, so how do we reconcile this contradiction? It's a contradiction. In the Pesach. When does the Levi start to serve? Okay, how is this? Chafei Lilmud. At age 25, he goes to the training in the temple. But at 30, he starts to work. So it takes 5 years to learn. Mikan, and from here we see
voice lessons.
What is it? That's voice lessons.
It's very tricky to know how to pour water.
Mikan leTalmud shleira simin yafav mishnasei heishanim shuvein raya. We'll see in a moment. That a student that doesn't see blessing in his, or he doesn't see a good sign in his learning after 5 years, so he could give up. It's not going to happen. Now, what Rashi explains is that Simin Yafa, if he doesn't see a good sign, means he's learning and he's forgetting. You see, in those days, they had to memorize. They had to memorize their learning. So they had to memorize the laws. So if you saw that he wasn't able to retain all the information, he wasn't seeing that it was working, so then he should give up. I wonder if this would apply, or at least the way Rashi's learning it is that for memory. But for understanding, we learn differently. We learn for understanding, also memory, but we have a text. It's a little different. So, look, 5 years out of 7 years, that's pretty good. The Daf Yomi takes 7 years. He learns in 5 years. Okay. Rabbi Yossi says it's a little different. He says Gimel Shanim, that it's really 3 years is the limit of how long it should take a person to decide if he's going to be successful in his learning. Shenemar, as it says, V'legadlam shanim shalish, v'lelamdem sefer v'loshen kastim. It's talking about the taking Daniel, Hanani, Mishael, and Azariah into Babylonia. They're going to put them in this training where they're going to, for 3 years, where they're going to learn Babylonian, Kastian, Chaldean.
This is Nebuchadnezzar?
Yeah. So, what does it say? It says he's going to train them for 3 years. It says the learning takes 3 years.
Take proof from a guy. A guy who destroyed the Beisalim.
The Gemara says, V'idach, listen to this. V'idach, Shani Lashon Kastim Dekala. The other opinion that says it takes 5 years to see, that's because to learn Chaldean, that's easy. But other learning takes 5 years. In other words, we know that Chaldean takes 3 years, and we know that in the